This afternoon we are going to be kicking around in Star Citizen. There we go. Not entirely sure why I had black to start with there. Before we get started with the festivities today, I'm going to take the opportunity to remark that there will be... I'm also getting the currently flying stuff on there that shouldn't be on there at this point. Just when you think you've told it not to do that, it keeps popping up. Okay, well, as I was saying, the new version of Star Citizen, the next release, is being tested on the public test universe. It's in Wave 1, so if you're a concierge or the subscriber or one of those things, you can go check out the big things ahead. The biggest thing of which is going to be the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. This is a about almost 2-week extravaganza in the game where they will be making just about every starship available to free fly. It is literally within 12 days, 21 hours, 58 minutes. Or if you want to be more technical, from November 20th to December 2nd. It will be taking place on the world of Microtech at their primary landing area of New Babbage. In fact, you get a little hint of the Expo Center just by looking at this graphic they have here. Now, they don't make everything available at once, which has its good and bad points. What they'll be doing is that every day a new manufacturer will be on display. And I think, judging from the way they've got it here, each manufacturer will be active for 2 days. Now what that means is you'll have Argo, Grey Cat, and Consolidated Outland going on to the 20th and 21st. The 20th will be all by itself. And then Aegis Dynamics picks up on the 21st, so they'll be exhibiting at the same time that the other three are exhibiting. But on the 22nd, they go away and Anvil Aerospace takes their place. I feel that this is a logical progression given the fact that these guys are in Apex Halls and Aegis is on Zenith Halls, and then right after that, Apex Halls. So it's a pretty good feeling that that's how it's going to work out. And at the end of all of this, all the way on the 29th through the 2nd, they're going to be showing, oh, that's interesting, Weapons and Armor Day. Now that sounds intriguing because we don't really have starship armor, so this could be showcasing new weapons, new armor. Well, I'm not entirely sure, honestly, because just about all the weapons are in the game. Well, you know what? I'm just going to sit back and just see what happens. The ship rentals seem to indicate to me that everything will be available during that span of time. Meaning, you can generally only rent the ships during their period, but last year, I'm pretty sure that at the end of the expo, they put everything out there. They'll also be showing the new skins available for the Best in Show ships from the Ship Showdown that was about a month ago or so. Where does the time go? People who have Valkyries, Carracks, and whichever the other two ships were in the top 4. I can't honestly remember them off the top of my head. They'll have new skins available. I don't know if that'll be considered a new ship entirely or if it'll just be a special paint job you can apply. But we'll find out. For those who like the YouTube video experience, they apparently have their own automotive show, for lack of a better phrase. Whitley's Guide with Zax McCleary. If you go onto YouTube, you should be able to find last year's experience, shall we say, and get into. They're pretty short videos, so you're not really missing a whole lot if you don't see them. But they're just little catchy little tidbits, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. You'll have the Tobin Expo Center map here, so you can see the upper and lower halls. I'm not sure if Apex and Zenith are in the same building or not. Don't know. I don't know how we're going to get there either. I imagine that something will be made available. You can be sure that there will be more information as we get closer to that point. It is a free fly event, so even if you don't have Star Citizen, if you have a computer that can run it and you're interested in seeing it, you can download the game during the expo and try out the free flight ships. And all this information is handy on this website, www.iae2950.com. And they have a little teaser trailer that's... yeah. Let's put it on and see what we see.
Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2950. Whitley's Guide and me, Jax McCleary, are here to take you through it all. We're here on Microtech, going behind the scenes, under the hood, and deep undercover, to bring you the galaxy's hottest ships from its coolest locale. See if you can keep up.
That's basically a sample of what those videos will be like during the expo itself. Okay, well, I think that pretty much covers all the pre-flight entertainment for today. Now we are going to go right back into the game itself. We'll just hop into the persistent universe. Now, as you may have guessed, based on the title of this particular stream, I am not doing the PTU experience here. Mainly because my SSD is not large enough to handle 2 different instances of Star Citizen. It can handle 1 okay, 2 is going to run into space issues. I don't need to know that badly. I'm perfectly willing to wait. Besides, PTU experiences tend to be even crashier than the normal experience. Why would I inflict that upon myself? Finally, while it has not been announced for it, everybody is pretty certain that the IAE will also mark the debut of Crusader Industries' first offering in-game, the Mercury Star Runner, which I did pledge for, so I expect to be flying it the first day it becomes available. That said, anyone's guess as to when that might be. It might actually be on November 20th. Or it might be before then. But I would bet on the 20th. So, since I'm not in the PTU, I'll be spending my time in the regular test universe. Well, the regular persistent universe. I guess you could call it a test universe because this is still an alpha. So, technically, it's all test. It's just that some servers are testier than others. You know, now that I said that out loud, that doesn't really work all that well. Today, I'm going to take a step back from what I've been doing with medium fighters and hauling and things like that, and I'm going to spend some time in the smaller, lighter fighters. Specifically, the ones that I have in my arsenal here are the Aegis Gladius and the Anvil Arrow. Now, I'm probably going to also include the Aegis Avenger Warlock, because it's an interceptor, so even though it's not technically a light fighter, it's close enough. Maybe it's a little step down from light fighter. and the Origin 325A. Now, okay, you know what? I'm willing to accept RSI Aurora MR, also light fighter. So we'll fly around a bit and, well, at least some of these, right? So I think perhaps we'll start the road less traveled, the Avenger Warlock, which I may not have clicked on fast enough. Nope. They really need to leave the screen up a little bit longer when you're going through the stuff. I can't imagine what it's like for folks who own most of the ships in the game. The headaches alone. Speaking of headaches, it hasn't given me a platform yet. That's worrisome.
Unfortunately, our automated systems.
Okay, that's a bad, bad sign. And I can't imagine why I would have gotten hosed from the... Let's try that again. Maybe something got mucked up with the whole click, pull away, click. There we go, see? So I didn't end up bugged. For which I will breathe a sigh of relief. One of the things I noticed on the Public Test Universe screenshots I've seen is that some of the elevator panels will be mutating slightly. The only one I've really seen and can confirm would be the Anvil Carrax elevators. They have different style button stuff now. It's not bad. I don't have any great feelings one way or the other to it. As long as they work, they can look like however they want. Sadly, the really big elevator stuff is not slated until at least 3.12, and for all I know, they may have taken that off the roadmap when I wasn't looking. The Aegis Avenger has multiple variations, and this is the Warlock variation. This guy is made to shut starships down by use of EMP generators. Now, if I were smart, I would replace the stock weaponry with distortion weaponry, because they do a job on electronics too. But, you know, that's a future project. We've got a 2D radar here, which is not something that's one of my favorite things, but that's because I've gotten spoiled with the 3D radars that exist in things like the Mist Freelancer, and Boero, and the like. It's a perfectly serviceable radar. The thing I don't like about it the most is that the 3D radar will at least show me where my next waypoint is when I've set my quantum destination. And the 2D radar does not. Okay, well, let's take off. Right now you'll have noticed that my canopy is open. Just about every starship with a canopy is opening up, and the ladders are being put down too. Really annoying, but it's an alpha. You learn to live with these little quirks. Besides, it's not like I'm flying one of the Asperia glaives where your entire exterior opening up actually drops you out of the ship. Close canopy, close ladder. Don't they have one that does close everything? I guess not. We'll see how long that stays closed. I would like to think that that's something they will fix up during the next patch for the Expo, but I'm not going to bet heavily upon it. Let's see, my personal missions have taken a bit of a hit lately. Since there's been a lot of people doing the authorized execution missions, I've had to lean on the bounty hunter missions again. But you do that, you start looking good, as in lawful. And when you start looking really lawful, the illegal missions start drying up. So, life's filled with tragedy. We deal with it. So we'll beat up on somebody more local who deserves it. Specifically, we'll try out Walker Culpepper. And I am, as always, going to go to the Mercenary tab and pick up the Call to Arms so I get the effective free money. At least that's the hope. Whether or not that actually works out, again, your guess, good as mine. One more thing to do once I close this up. Well, actually, there'll be two things to do because I need to set my destination. But one thing I want... Oh, there's my exterior. Why is it on the opposite side? Don't know. Don't care. No, the next thing I want to do is get my guns all lined up here, and they're actually lined up pretty much where I want it to be. Now you'll notice if we zoom in here that my second mouse button is listed as off, and it has an EMP generator. We're going to turn that on now, because I am going to be using that if I can. Well, it's not a question of if I can, it's a question of how effective it's going to be. The EMP generator will do all kinds of havoc to any ship nearby, in theory. But it also is a big draw on your power, so it's something that I'll be paying attention to. I also have a couple of size 2 missiles that I'm going to more or less ignore because I usually ignore my missiles. That said, since I am flying here in a light fighter against a crime stat rating 3 bounty, there's going to be plenty of opposition to me. Now, as an interceptor, this is pretty much close to light fighter territory, but I think I'm going to keep the coupling on for now. I usually take the coupling off if I'm flying an Arrow or a Gladius because, well, they're made for high-end maneuvers. I'm not so certain about the Warlock here. The Warlock, incidentally, is the only Titan Avenger that has the EMP. The other ones have their own little quirks. Sorry, that's a Titan Avenger. I always do that. The Aegis Avenger. Warlock is the one with the EMP. Aegis Avenger Titan, for example, has a cargo area. And I'm not sure about the other ones, honestly. I can't remember off the top of my head. Which should tell you something about how often I fly Titans. Titans, I did it again! Alright. The good news is gimbaled weapons are available on this ship, so at least I'll be able to hit my targets. I should be able to hit them with fixed these days too, but... well, you know, when you've got a crutch, it's kind of hard to throw it away. Alright. Now comes the fun part. Finding targets. Let's see if my scanner will give me any hints. Oh, and how about that? I didn't even have to get the scanner up. So, 11 kilometers away and closing. The fun part about all these bounty missions and all these kill missions is they always take place in a field of debris and rock. There we go. And he's flying a Cutlass Black. That's bad. So I'm going to start charging my EMP to give myself as much advantage as I possibly can against this guy. Of course, the downside is that, you know, they might have missiles. Okay, start opening fire. Stock weaponry again. I tend to be pretty consistent with stock weaponry. Okay, EMP hit, but it didn't really do as much as I was hoping. It looks like it's weakened his shields, but I'll take what I can get. And that's the primary bounty. And judging from the fact that I'm only seeing one other target tells me that, yes, it's another cutlass. We'll start charging EMP again. This guy is definitely keeping close here. That said, I don't know if it's really a smart idea to be that close to me. Oh, now he flies away. EMP didn't seem to do much to him at all. And I've lost sight of my target. There we are. Well, you know, there's always... Well, actually, I might have done something, because it doesn't look like he's doing a whole lot in the way of maneuvering. So I take it back. The EMP may very well have given me one very nice advantage. Now, this is a mission that would have been well, I can't really say it actually would be a tough fight in Narrow because I've gotten better. Okay, let's turn off the EMP for a moment while I work out the next target of opportunity. Now, you'll also notice that right now my balance is 928k. That's still nowhere near what I need to pick up more interesting starships. But, you know, this will probably help a bit. A guy named Bert. That feels like someone who ought to be shot, doesn't it? Okay, that's kind of unkind. I should not discriminate based on names. I will instead discriminate on the fact that he has a crime status and therefore is a legitimate target. There, you know how it goes. If you do the crime, you'll do the time. All that said, we're not looking at, you know, time here because, well, I'm shooting them and blowing them up. That said, bounty hunters against player bounties blow up the other ships too, and yet they wake up in Klesher prison. So maybe that's happening with these guys too. I mean, there are people wandering around prison that aren't players. They had to have come from somewhere. Maybe they're coming from these bounties. Ooh, that's not a good sign. That indicates someone's... Okay, now I have no idea where my targets are. Why is it always that? I get ready to do my scan and then bang, there we are. Let's start charging up the EMPs. Not him, not him. Bert. Always take out the bounty target first. Because the bounty target is what is they're the payday. And after you kill the main payday, the other guys count for a call to arms. If you learn nothing else during my streams, definitely get that in mind. Oops. I didn't mean to kill him before I popped the EMP. I didn't mean to. Oh well. Sometimes bad things happen to bad people. For those who were tuning in on my stream last week, you might recall that I was a bad person, and was doing pretty much prison stuff by the end of the day there. The attempt to get out was less than successful, so I more or less had to do the legal method of getting out. Come a little closer. Yeah, I'm not sure I got him on that one. It seems like he's still pretty maneuverable. He's moving. One of these days, I'm going to have to do some real investigation as to what the range on those EMP generators are. Well, this has worked out pretty well, hasn't it? A couple crime stat 3 bounties. Not much of a fight, not much of a problem there. So let's do something a little tougher. We're going to do a crime stat 4 one, which I'm going to freely admit has an excellent chance of watching me blow up in tiny bits. But maybe it won't. The whole point here is, after all, to see what can be done. How well I can do this is a good benchmark of improvement in dogfighting skills, at least against AI opponents. I do not delude myself into thinking that I can beat a player opponent of any skill. But you know, sooner or later it'll happen. I'd at least like to have the basics nailed down. One thing I haven't seen a lot of in the 3.11 patch, the AI opponents have not been throwing a whole lot in the way of missiles. And I'm of two minds of that. On the one hand, I'm happy. Those missiles were basically one-shot kill things. That's really annoying. But then we have the other hand. Gotta learn to defend against them. And they have done some stuff with the countermeasures in the game with this last patch that I still have not fully explored. So, you know, things to learn. There's always things to learn. I'm not gonna hit my tab button. I'm not gonna hit my tab button. Every time I do, here we are. And, oh, 13 kilometers away. They are a bit of a distance, aren't they? I'm gonna try to take this as a rapid pass. Charge up EMP. Hopefully it'll be fully charged before I get into interception range. Not him. Not him. You're the one I want to get to. Oh, right. Closer, closer, closer. Oh, I think I got a lick on him because it looks like he's, oh yeah, it looks like one of his shields went completely. Having no trouble figuring out what this guy's pip is to target because the planet is a little bright. Kick up EMP again. Why would you not take advantage of it if you have it? I don't think it's doing great amounts here. And you know, I've just noticed that. Okay. Problem with the default layout here for this weapon is that they're not firing at the same speed. I kind of like having consistency with my weapons. All repeaters, all cannons, all lasers, all ballistics. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. But what I do know is that it's making life a little challenging with shooting these guys. Charging all the way up. That might be because of the power drain. Well, let's do what I can. Uh-oh. I'm seeing another blue dot on my radar. That means I've got... Oh, I'm not sure if that's telling me I have unexpected help or unexpected problems. But on the bright side, primary bounty is gone, so great caterpillar. Cripes. I sure hope that wasn't attached to what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure that I don't have the firepower available to take down a caterpillar in Titan. No, Warlock. Not unless I bring down the shields with, you know, that EMP. And, well, I've already said that the EMP is having a little problem right now. So I'm just letting it kind of sit there and cool off a bit before I try recharging it again. The Delta is no threat to me, at least not one-on-one. Cutlass Black, on the other hand, that's a bit more of a problem. Whoa. Is he dead in space? No, because he's got movement. And he's firing. Okay, those other two guys are not from my mission. They are from... I guess that the Caterpillar was not a hostile Caterpillar. It's one of the innocent Caterpillars that occasionally spawn with pirates causing problems. Uh-oh, that is not a good sound. That's usually the sound of a missile getting ready to lock in. That would be a bad thing. Looks like I'm not going to get a full charge on that EMP. If I were to do an upgrade on this ship, I would certainly be staring at the power plant for one of my early upgrades. Never mind the weapons on here. I think a better power plant would increase the odds of being able to draw that EMP more frequently at full strength. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have no idea if I can take out that Andromeda. I'm kind of leaning towards probably not. But I've gone this far, why not go all the way? Charging, but I don't have any idea how far it's going to actually charge. Let's just hit it now and go from here. I'm going to have to also check my ammunition because I'm pretty sure I'm using ballistics, but I can't prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I've been shooting an awful lot on this particular mission, let alone all the other ones. And, as if by magic, one of my guns stops shooting. Now I'm willing to bet that I'm using a combination of laser and ballistic for my weapons on this ship. Okay, EMP may have done something. Yes, it did a job on their shielding. So every hit I get is going onto their hull. Well, not anymore. Well, they've got pretty decently recharging shields, don't they? I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to break this guy's shield. Or at least not do enough damage before his shields recharge after an EMP hit. On the other hand, I am getting some hits. So I should probably not be hasty. Whoop. Someone's active again. If I could blow off this engine, that would be nice. That tends to happen a lot to constellations. I must be doing something if things are blowing off. Maybe that was one of his engines. Yeah, I'm definitely blowing parts off. And and he's clearly unhappy with the way this battle is developing. And there's more explosions. I'm not entirely sure how much way of engines he's got left. His thrusters are a mess. I can start getting dizzy from this fight. There we go. Now, ordinarily, I could stick around and there'll be 2 more waves of opposition coming in. But my ammunition supply is a little scarce right now. So instead, I'm going to head down to Magda and see if I can restock my ammunition. It'd be nice if I'd be able to refuel too, but refueling hasn't really worked out all that well for me lately. Not on outposts. Still, maybe Perlman will be the lucky one. So this worked out remarkably well. I don't know if it was the EMP or continued improvement in dogfighting these things, but that was a Crime Staff 4 in a light, well, not even a light fighter, this is technically an intercept. And I've come out on top. Not only that, I was able to engage with a Drake Cutlass and an RSI Constellation and come out on top of them. Even with my ammunition supply deciding to give up the ghost. So all things considered, that was a pretty good fight. Now I see my EMP cooldown is kind of stuck. I wonder if that's because I must have turned it off. Turn it back on to see what happens. There we go. Now I wonder if I were to monkey with my power settings, if I moved more power to the weapons, I wonder if that would help the EMP generator. It feels like it might, because if I go into my Moby Glass and look at my vehicle loadout, tick tock, and go into my weaponry. Okay, I don't see my weaponry. I don't see it there. You're kidding me. There's got to be a spot in here that talks about... You would think that there would be something here that says, "Hi, I am your EMP." But I don't see anything. So I have no idea where the power drain is going into that. Although I could change its priority. I'll show you what I mean once I land here. The landing pads down there and start doing my refuel, rearm. Probably just rearm. It'd be nice if I could refuel because I'm at 68 hydrogen. And I like to get that topped off as much as I can because you're never sure when you're going to have the opportunity again. So we're dropping landing gear. Now, if I were flying the Avenger Titan, and I got it right this time. If I were flying the Avenger Titan, I could also go here and try to load up on some cargo, get some extra cash. I'm going to try to auto land here in hopes that it helps my odds of being put in a spot where all the services work properly. Nope, just restock. So, yay, all the guns are up. And you can see that by just looking here, 400 rounds back in. But you've got this Rep 3, is that Rep? No, Rep 8 EMP generator. Now, speaking of power supply, if I swap my status, is that my target status? I guess that was my target status. If I swap my target status with power, you'll see that I've got the power triangle here. here. I can put priority to weapons, thrusters, or shields. Or I can, anywhere you happen to click here. There's also keybinds that will allow you to move it around to certain increments, which is what I usually do. But that's not the point. The point here is items. And under items, well, so much for that theory. Ooh, geez. 63% health. Either they've been hitting me or I've been roasting my EMP generator. That would explain why I'm not getting full shots on the EMP generator. If it's damaged, then you wouldn't expect it to be as effective. Isn't that interesting? In any event, you can see that with these arrows here, I can change the priority on some stuff here. And changing the generator wouldn't do much good because the only one above it is my power plant. Kinda want the power plant to be where it is. Let's go back to target status. Okay. We'll take back off.
Landing gear ejected.
Let's take a second to admire the landscape. But don't admire it too much because I'm not flying quite level and I don't want to end up splattered on the landscape. When I see the Aegis Avenger series, I can't help but think of the old space shuttles. It has that kind of look to it. I don't know if it's the white, hexagonal patterning, or just the general shape, but it gives me that impression. Alrighty, let's take this back to Everest where I can do my repair and my refuel. And we'll fly a different light fighter, or interceptor as the case may be. Luckily, the map is being a lot more cooperative than it's been for a while, so I'm able to have no trouble selecting my destination. That said, the Everest Harbor quantum destination point, it's still not quite right. So I'm going to head towards Everest Harbor here, and then I'm going to go right past Everest Harbor. Watching, watching, watching.
Quantum travel complete.
Oh, the good news is I didn't go past Everest. The bad news is I didn't come out anywhere near Everest. I'm still 230 kilometers away.
Quantum travel complete.
Come on, Hurston. Get your destination set properly. I'm going to crank up the speed a bit so I can close in faster, thus waste as little time as possible. Of course, the downside of that is when you're in space, you go so fast, you also have to be able to slow it down. Luckily, the braking features work out pretty decently on the Avenger series. Open up the comms, talk to Everest Harbor, get a landing pad.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Everest Harbor has been much better than it had during the last patch. During the last patch, every time I landed, couldn't do a refuel, couldn't do a restock, couldn't do a repair. It was, in a word, awful. But it's much better now. I can't say the same for Lorville. Lorville not only has the extremely dangerous hangar doors that like to destroy your starships, but landing services don't seem to be working properly there. Alright, coming to a landing. Again, we're going to do the auto land thing to try to ensure that the ship lands in wherever the sweet spot is.
I have been authorized to scan your vehicle for security purposes.
Landing complete.
Please hold your vehicle and stand by.
Not a problem. I'm halted. Go ahead and scan me. An evil man would kick off the EMP generator, right? Well, that would have consequences.
Okay, thanks. You're clear to proceed.
Oh, they're too good to me.
Engines offline.
Now I can offline it. Oops. Of course, I've offlined everything, and I didn't do what I was going to do, which was refuel, repair. I shouldn't have to rearm at this point. Repair, refuel. And again, we still have this bug where it's showing me the same cost for hydrogen and quantum refuel. And I know that's not the way it is. And of course, since I have everything powered off, I have no idea if the repair work is done. So I'm going to turn the power on, but leave the engines off.
Systems green.
I'm going to take a quick peek. Yeah, here we go. I'm back to 100% health on the EMP generator. So I could conceivably
Weapon systems offline.
do the deed again. Now, you'll notice that when I try doing my usual stand-up, I usually hit Y to exit the cockpit. But because this is an Avenger, what it does is it doesn't actually take me out the cockpit, it takes me out to the back. And the back here, I've got a bed to work with here, so you can log off in your Avenger no matter where you are, theoretically speaking. Now, further back in some variants of the Avenger, you would be able to go into a cargo area. But there is no cargo area to be found here. Now, the bad news is, if you want to get out of the ship, you have to go back in the pilot seat, like so. And then exit the cockpit through your interaction keys. Now, if you go to the back here and open up the back, you'll see what would ordinarily be the cargo area, but this is the EMP generator. And oddly, you can walk around in here. Although I have no idea how safe it would be to do if you were, say, trying to be a passenger in here with the EMP active and ready to roll. For all I know, it might EMP your brain. It'd be interesting to experiment with someday, actually. I should put that on the list of things to do somewhere along the line. Alright, so let's see. We've got Gladius, we've got Arrow, we've got the Aurora. But I think we'll grab the Origin 325. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't remember the difference between the various Origin 325 series starships. I mean, I'm sure there's a difference between them. I just don't conveniently know the difference between them. All I know for sure is that it's not the basic layout. And I'm pretty sure that it's a straight fighter because, well, they said interceptor, didn't it? Yeah, interceptor. I don't fly this ship much. I have a preference toward the other ships in my arsenal, which is a good enough reason for me to fly this now. Sometimes that's all the excuse I need for one of these streams. If it's not something I fly often, why not fly it right now? See what happens. See if it's worth flying. I mean, I just flew the Avenger Warlock against a Crime Stat 4 bounty. In my arrow, I would probably be blown to bits. Now, all of this said, when I'm talking about how dangerous the CS4 and all that is, I admit my impressions were set during the previous patch when the opposition would use missiles. But they're not using missiles right now for some AI unknown reason. So possibly my arrow can tear apart the CS4 mission. Because I can certainly maneuver my way around the direct fire. The problems are all coming in from, missiles. Lots and lots of missiles. Especially when the arrow is made out of balsa wood. Now we do seem to have a pretty decent amount of armament here. We've got missiles, we've got, looks like laser repeaters. Again, this is a stock loadout, so I haven't done anything fancy here. Now, all that said, Origin is known for fancy. Luxury ships. They go for the piloting experience, not necessarily for, military or anything like that. To that end,
Origin shellports at your service. Core system operational.
I'm going to first take
Launch
off,
complete.
go forward, kick up the landing gear, try to get away from the
Landing gear raised.
quote-unquote good folks at Hurston Security, because I really don't feel like being scanned down again.
Thank you, and please visit again.
Okay. Now that we're all nice and lit up in here, got the Origin throne here, otherwise known as the toilet seat. I don't know if I can actually interact with it, like opening the lid. On the other hand, what would it show me? Maybe there are some things it's best that I don't look at. Over here we've got a bed. We have champagne glasses with weapons rack. These are not words you think string together in a luxury ship, but there it is, just pop in place. That was just for demonstration purposes. I am not going to be leaving this here. Not with my luck with 30k errors. On this side we have, well, amenity stuff. And that's where things get a little interesting for the amenities, because if you pledge for the Origin 300 series stuff, there are customization options. And I don't know how many of them are live yet. Some of them involve the seating, rich Corinthian leather, or maybe not. They have various appearances, as well as a couple of accessories, which would include a coffee pot and other things. Whether or not the coffee pot will actually brew you coffee that you can drink and reduce your dehydration level, don't know. That's the kind of thing that comes standard here. They're very, and of course, we've got transparent top of the ship here, so that's Origin for you right there. Let's take a look for a moment at weapon systems. We got 8 missiles, 4 size 2s and 4 size 3s. The size 3s are cross-section, which means they won't be fooled by some countermeasures. They will go right to the target. Nice. Guns. Looks like we've got cannons. Well, we have one cannon, and that's a laser cannon. And we have 2 ballistic repeaters. I'm going to slap them all in the same weapon group to save myself the headaches later. And I'm going to swap out my missiles there to prioritize the size 3 missiles. Because if I end up using them, and it's an if, I kind of want to make sure that they hurt a lot. Now, all that said, I really don't see anything special about the Origin 325s. And that's the kind of thing that just gets me curious. When I start thinking about these things, I just gotta know. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a quick second to swap back to the browser screen. And we're going to see what we can see. I guess the pledge store is the way to go here. And we'll go to Origin ships. And we will go with low mass. Too low mass. Okay, a little more mass. Okay, 300I is a touring ship, so I guess that's just there to, you know, show off. Pathfinder, this feels like it's an exploration sort of ship. 325 Alpha, which is interdiction, which I find very interesting. Why would it be interdiction? What exactly is it using in here that makes it an interdiction ship? I don't see anything. What does it say about weaponry? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. And the website has some issues, it seems, with scrolling. I don't really see why it qualifies as interdiction, unless they want to call that their. I guess that's their version of fighter, and then we have a racing version. So this is the combat version of the 300 series. Touring for just luxury bumming around. Pathfinder for scanning exploration stuff, which doesn't have anything in the game that supports that. Interdiction / fighter. And speed racer there. Okay, well, that takes care of my need to know what exactly is going on there. So we will go back here where I'm slowly drifting towards the planet, which is not where I want to go. Instead, we will take a look at another one of our bounty missions. And again, we are going to start simple with our crime stat 3, if that can be called simple. And if that works out well, we'll kick it on for one of the crime stat 4s and see how well the 325 handles a mission where it doesn't have to worry about missiles. Let's take another look at the ship. It's a little hard to tell since we're on the dark side here, so not a whole lot of light. We'll be able to show it off a little more now. It's not a bad design. It does have kind of a sleek look. That engine style is pretty standard with most Origin ships. I say most because I'm not sure that the M50 does that kind of engine. But the M50 is kind of an exception in a lot of ways because it's one of those really small racing ships. but you'll see that kind of style in the 600 series and in the 890 jump, although scaled up substantially. Alright. And just like that, there is our target. And weapons are overheating already. I mean, I've barely started firing at these guys. Of course, it also occurs to me that I'm not gimbaling these guys. That's because there are no gimbals on this ship. Now, the good news is the pips are a little more friendly as far as figuring out where you want to fire. And you'll notice that it goes kind of greenish when you've got a firing solution that will make impacts. This is a big improvement over what it used to be, which was, you know, virtually nothing. Oh, someone's spinning. I think I might have heard something important on this ship. Now, I'm not going to deny it's still more difficult to hit the target because of the non-gimbaling. On the other hand, I could not have done that back in the old days. Old days, like I'm an old hand on this game. I've only been playing since last December, which admittedly is a decent length of time to have figured things out, but even so. Wine, stupid overheating things. I would say we could get a better cooler on this thing, but there's some question as to whether or not the coolers actually do any good. I mean, they might somewhere along the line, but at the moment, it's more dubious. This guy keeps flying in the sun. Oh, got lucky there, because I'm pretty sure if he was exploding, I'd be exploding from that one. That was just too close. Still, bad guys beat. Bounty's up. Let's grab the CS4. Because nothing says willingness to get oneself blown up like taking a CS4 inside of a light fighter. Or interceptor. Whatever. Now again, and I may have mentioned this already, but it's worth repeating. I'm flying with stock loadout here. I'm not sure what word I want to use for this. I'm overly thrifty, perhaps, with my components. I mean, I've bought some weapon upgrades, sometimes to match up all the weapons so I don't have weird things happening with my targeting. That's not a hard and fast rule, though. Sometimes I upgrade the quantum drives because I'm tired of taking 15-minute trips from Olisar to Microtech. But for the most part, I tend to use the stock equipment. Because I'm gun-shy about character resets and patches. Oh, right. Let's see what happens when I don't have the crutch of an EMP to fall back on.
Contact.
He's not the one I want.
Contact.
He's the one I want. And I'm noticing that I don't have my neutralized target taking up. I must not be tracking that properly. At any rate, Drake Buccaneer. Drake Buccaneer is at least a doable target. Oh, there we go. I wonder why it took so long for it to do that. I am getting hits on him, so that's the good news. Oh, and someone's getting hits on me. That's the bad news. Definitely a number of vehicles in the air here. But at least I don't have one of those big caterpillar kind of... Oh, yeah, I do not want to be... There we go. I want to be shooting him. I don't want him to be shooting me. If he's that close shooting, I don't want to point it in my direction. Pointing in my direction? Bad. Oh. I'm thinking, yeah, that Cutlass is taking shots at me. I don't want to take hits from him. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap my missiles down to the Dominator size 2s. Of course, that doesn't really mean much because I'm far too close to this guy to be using missiles. But if that opportunity comes up, I'm not sure I want to pass up on it. But he's playing it smart. He's turning in before I can get my shots off. And he's doing a pretty good job on weathering my attack. Okay, let's get clever here. Let's make use of the asteroids. Get some cover from that. He's still doing a good job of pursuing. That was a little close. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. They figured out how to use their missiles. Oh, I think my panic, nope. Panic countermeasures are not working. Okay, so it looks like there is a point where they're going to be more than happy to start kicking off their missiles, and I seem to have reached it. Okay, that's different. If they want to start playing the missile game, I'm happy to play the missile game. Let me get a little bit of distance. Revert. Spin.
Achieved missile lock.
You want to play with missiles? I can play with missiles.
Hostile eliminated.
Take that. Okay, we're not going to go after him first. We're going to go after this other bucket here. Oh, this ain't good. Double check, but I'm pretty sure I just got the big 0 ammo out there, which means I am in big trouble. Let's swap over to the bigger missiles. Maybe I can take out the Cutlass if I'm lucky. Get some distance first. Oh, we've got friendly nearby too. Or by friendly, I mean someone who's not actually shooting at me at this exact time.
Achieved missile lock.
Oh, for heaven's sake, are the missiles not? There we go.
Alert. Weapon systems overheating.
Well, the good news is I hit them. The bad news is I don't think I did much to them. Let's burn a little away again. Flip around.
Achieved missile lock. Contact.
It'd be nice if I could take out this guy because
Achieved missile lock.
there we go. Because if I can hit him with a number of missiles,
Weapon systems overheating.
unfortunately, I don't think I've done enough. Maybe.
Weapon systems overheating.
Oh, my quote-unquote help is helping out here. Okay, well, the problem here is that help may not necessarily be help. So we are going to hop to a location that is not here, just in case. And there we go.
Activated.
As I am now presently out of ammo, I'm going to cut off my quantum jump early.
Quantum drive deactivated.
Fun fact, if you're being tailed by somebody, a good way to deal with it is to quantum jump to a long, far location, let them do the same, and then stop. And then just get a new destination. It may or may not buy you a lot of time, but if you're being hunted, or if someone's, trying to grief you, any amount of time you can buy yourself is good. It's even better if it's a long jump, because at that point, they can't really target you to quantum jump to you. They have to use the same destinations that everybody else uses. So if you were to jump in the middle of deep space, the odds of them being able to get to you are not great.
Quantum drive activated. Quantum drive deactivated.
There you go. Tip for the future. Well, we did pretty decent here. I didn't get all the targets in that particular mission, mainly because a good Samaritan came through and took out most of the opposition for me, which is all well and good, except that means I didn't get paid for those targets. To be fair, the Cutlass didn't go down with my arrestor missiles, so we're clearly not looking at what you would call any hope of getting the cash out from those guys. But we'll never know now, will we? It will be interesting to see just how much restocking everything will be now that I've kicked off all those missiles and burned through all my ammo. If it's less than 5,000, I still came out with profit. Let's get ready by getting my communications MFD up. How about that? Good timing. And if I'm lucky, and if I'm right...
Proceed to assigned landing bay.
No, why would they give me the landing bay closest to me when they can give me one that's all the way over here?
Landing gear.
Still, I cannot deny that the 325A has performed well. It met my expectations, and honestly, it sort of exceeded them. Really, when I'm going into a CS4 bounty hunt, I tend to expect to get blown up. The fact that I did not counts as a win.
Landing complete.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
551 to restock and repair and refuel, so we're looking at about 1,000 UEC total. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I'm not doing the math in my head right now.
Hydrogen fuel 100%.
The upshot, though, is I profited from those bounties. Even though I didn't get to call to arms money on those loose guys on the CS4.
Engines inactive.
So that was a pretty good performance on the Origin 325. Now, that said, would I be using this on a regular basis for this sort of thing? Nah. I like my other ships a little too much for that. But being able to do that decently in a light fighter, it also put the lie to the bad guys won't use missiles theory. Because they did eventually start wanting to throw the missiles at me. And you know what? I bet part of the reason is because of that minimum distance thing. For those unaware, one of the changes they made with this last patch was that missiles could not be used at point blank anymore. You have to have a minimum distance between you and your target to be able to lock on and fire at them. And that minimum distance depends a lot on the size missiles you're using. The bigger the missile, the more distance you need. That's theory. And that might be why I wasn't getting missile spam to death like I often do in this situation, because the bad guys are just as affected by that problem as I am. Okay. Oh yeah, there was one other ship that I neglected to mention, the whole light fighter thing. Although it really technically isn't a light fighter because the Mustang Alpha is designated as a light freight. But I've basically used it more as a fighting machine anyway. Well, I'm going to take a quick step back here for a minute. And we're going to go to my vehicle maintenance option here. And we're going to take a quick peek at the layout of the Aurora that I'm using. Because I can't remember if I have... No, I have not fully equipped this ship. So it's, right now it's at default settings, which basically means, hey, missile rack, gimbaled weapon, but I've got 2 guns missing here. Now, thanks to the game not completely hosing me, I still have some gimbal mounts available. So I'm going to gimbal mount both of those wings. And on the weapons, I'm going to slap in... Oh, what just happened there? There we go. I'm going to slap in my 2 available Gatlings. And there's an excellent possibility that they're left over from the last time I did something like this. The Aurora does not start out lethal, but what I'm hoping to show here is that with the addition of 2 more weapons, and again, I admit they're all gimbal mounted, they might be even scarier if you take out the gimbal mounts and put on other weapons. And I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about it. I have available some... Well, they're still size 1s, though. If they're size 1s, you might as well have them gimbaled. I mean, why not? If they were size 2 mounts, then we could discuss whether or not I wanted to try fixed. But if they're size 1, you don't really lose anything by throwing the gimbals on. So we are going to demonstrate the lethality of a starter ship. I like the Aurora a lot better than I like the Mustang. And the reason for that is utility. You can do box missions in the Aurora. Now, full disclosure, when I started playing the game, there was a bug that prevented you from climbing up the ladder with a box in your hand. So, using the Aurora for box delivery missions was virtually impossible. Now, with the changes they've made to the delivery missions, though, I'm wondering if it might not be more difficult now. Because, as you will see quickly once we're aboard, there's not a lot of room. Now, you might be able to stack a box on top of a box twice. But of course, on the other hand, you could always just, make multiple trips, too. I mean, just because the mission says grab 3 boxes, it doesn't mean you have to grab all 3 at once. You see, it's very limited amount of space here. You do have a bed back here, so you can log off in here, but it is not. It does not have huge amounts of space to work with. You can do box delivery missions, but it will take some time thanks to the changes in the game. Although, depending on the box delivery mission, maybe not. Standard deliveries, they're a problem. Because as you can see, just pick up any order, these three, and drop them to a location. Or you can pick up packages at a location and drop off at one of 3 locations. So each of these missions involves having 3 packages. But there's nothing here that says you have to take them all at once. It's easier if you have a larger ship. You're certainly more likely to grab all 3. Or collect all 3. However that works out. But nothing stops you from doing it one at a time. The only problem is time. And since you don't get paid until all of them are delivered...
Attention. I have been authorized to scan your vehicle for security purposes. Please halt your vehicle and stand by.
Yeah, knock yourself out, guys. But there are other missions. Under search here, for example, you've got this cargo assist. You locate remains, and apparently you're retrieving iodine, which is probably in a box. The single box. Pick up box, deliver box. Aurora will do that well. You'll find some possibilities in the mercenary missions. You blow up a ship, it drops cargo, you take cargo, you deliver it to a location. And, well, that works on other sections of the law too. This guy has a crate of agresium. It's in a blown up constellation, so, it's basically the same kind of thing that was on one of those cargo missions. Go to a location, grab a floating box, put it in, deliver it. I don't know how well this one would work. This one seems to imply there's problems lurking nearby. But this seems to indicate there's at least one box that you can pick up, put in your ship, deliver it. You can't do that in the Mustangs. You just can't. And that is why I like the Aurora better than I like the Mustang. Okay, there is no Crime Stat 3 available. Well, let me rephrase that. You'll see that there's a Crime Stat 3, but this is from the North Rock people. And the problem with North Rock is that their bounties can be anywhere in the system. You might get lucky, and it'll be around Hurston, but there's also an excellent chance that it's going to wind up over in Crusader. You know what, though? It costs me nothing to look. It's that Crusader. Well, you know what? Too bad. I'm not going to Crusader. So we are going to go in hip deep right off the bat on a Crime Stat 4 in this ship. I'm going to track this one because it's currently tracking the one around Crusader. And I don't want to do that one now. Now the target here is lots closer to home.
Takeoff complete.
Are you guys scanning me again? Okay. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not being scanned now, though. Oh. As I may have said once or twice, it's an alpha.
Last chance.
Okay, so they want to do something. Make up your mind, guys.
Thank you, and please visit again.
Oh, shut up. Scan me. I am not going to be fined 20,000 credits because they can't get their act together. Okay, you know what? They want to play it this way? We can play it this way. Nothing up my sleeve. Scan to your heart's delight. I'm going to head back to the landing pad and reclaim the ship elsewhere. We'll see if they charge me 20,000 credits for making the ship vanish. Sadly, I'm probably not close enough to get it stored. I probably could if I opened communications with them and asked for a landing pad again, but not worth it. I mean, for crying out loud, seriously, guys? I see no starships around anywhere nearby. And they're complaining about me running away from scans when there's nobody to do the scanning. That is just wrong. Now for the fun part. Closing in on the landing pad. If I approach too high, I'm going to break bones. If I approach too low, I'm not going to end up where I want to end up. And I still fall on my face. That's okay. 92% health. I'll live with 92% health. Yeah, I'm noticing that there's a comment in the chat here that I'm seeing an awful lot lately. Why did I just get a crime stat? I'm willing to bet any amount of real money that they just left Grim Hex. I could be wrong, though. And people don't seem to realize that when you're a Grim Hex, you're not in range of the comsats, and therefore they're not assigning the crime stat to you. Whereas when you leave, you do. If you have crime stat already. If you ever wonder if you just randomly got a crime stat like this guy's talking about, if you want to know why you got the crime stat, what you'll do is you'll open your Moby class, go to your journal, and go to where it says criminal record. If you got a crime stat, you will see something here telling you that you were bad. It's not random. You were just a bad person. Alright, let's claim the Aurora there. And let's see. Part of me says I should do the Gladius, because I don't fly it often. Part of me says I should do the Arrow, because I love the Arrow. But the loudest part of me is saying expedite the RSI Aurora, because I had my heart set on doing that. I'm a little miffed about the situation that got me here in the first place. That said, I will almost never pay the expedited fee until the expedited time is at instant. Because if you're going to have to wait anyway, why pay? Why pay the extra? That's just stupid. Don't do that. Now is the time that's worth paying. And I have the feeling that this go back button might be related to the bug about duplicating ships and making them unclaimable. I can't prove that yet, but I've got the strong feeling about it. Because every time I use the back arrow on the upper left, that seems to be work okay and not give me any trouble. To go back, I've had weird stuff happen, and I think that's probably related. I just can't prove it. Alright, now that I've ditched my old Aurora, grabbed my new Aurora, hopefully this time I'll be able to leave without security whining and complaining to me about scans. And if they do whine and complain about it, I'm not paying. I tried to be the good guy and they want to hose me. Sorry guys, it don't work like that. And then I'll start being tempted to actually start shooting at them instead. And then I can close this day out with being stuck in prison like I did last week, so, you know. That is not my goal.
Welcome to Robert Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check.
Well, as far as I'm concerned,
Shields max.
first step is get away from Evers Harbor. Then, set my route.
Thank you, and please visit again.
And finally, we can get on the road. Sheesh. The things to go through just to get things going right. I want to put all the weapons on the same weapon group. I do have a pair of missiles. I'm pretty sure they're size 1s. Yep. 2 size 1 missiles. Roy, it's lucky this thing has missiles at all. I'm not likely to use them. We are gimbaled, so I will set my gimbals appropriately. Now, one thing I like about the Aurora is they have 4 MFDs. They're very useful, very handy. I have targets coming in here. Now, the ship is basically a flying box. If these guys get some solid hits on me, I'm probably going to die a horrible death. I am getting hits, though. And I think there's a better than good chance. Yes. Down he goes. And at this point, we mop up for the call to arms cache. That said, this guy is a little too close to me. Oh good, I was worried he hit a rock. I was hoping that he didn't hit an asteroid, so I would get paid. Another Cutlass. Now again, I'd like to reiterate, this is a starter ship. The only difference between the starter stock loadout and what I'm doing right now is I put on 2 gimbals and 2 guns. And I've just taken out the Crime Stat 4 bounty mission. Now to put that in the proper perspective, these crime staff 4s are 6,000 UEC payouts, not including what I got from Call to Arms. Call to Arms gives me cash depending on, well, here we go. Cash depending on the crime stat of the targets. Usually they're 500 if they're CS3s or less, 700 for 4, 1,000 for 5. So I probably got at least 1,500 off of the extra targets here. So I have about a cool 7,500 on one mission. That took no time at all. You can earn a decent living doing bounty missions. Now, all that said, yes, I did all on a starter ship with only minor modifications, but I've been playing a while. I know how to fly the ship. I know how it all operates. I've gone to combat before. You're probably not going to have that kind of fortune the first time you do this. Oh, nuts. That's not good. I accidentally hit the wrong key to get me out of my seat in the middle of a combat situation. I am so dead. The only thing one thing I'm going to be thankful for is that my shielding is still up. Okay, still alive. That's the good news. My weapon groups are hosed, so I gotta use both my mouse buttons now. Nothing to do about that, but live with it. I should be grateful nobody popped a missile at me. Now you would think this Mustang would go down because Mustang Delta, I was having easier times taking out the nuts. He wasn't even the primary target. Oh well, I lost 500 UEC on that one. You win some, you lose some. Ah! Desync. Or lag, or whatever you want to consider it. Either way, it means that they jump around sometimes. Suddenly, you're not shooting what you think you're shooting at. Oh, come on, Cutlass. You know you want to blow up. Well, I know you. I want you to blow up. That's a different story altogether. He is definitely bouncing around. And now he's a greasy stain. Now we can concentrate on more pleasurable things like extra money. Now 6,000 so far. I am getting plenty of hits on this guy. Won't be long before he goes up too. 500. That kind of surprises me. Usually the Cutlasses have a bit more cash on them, so to speak. Oh Christ, another Cutlass. Something I'm trying to be cognizant about is I'm getting all these shots on them, but sooner or later, I'm going to run out of bullets. Another 500, so that's 7,000 so far. $7,500 for that mission. That ain't bad. And I still have heaps of ammunition to work with. So, you know, 10 minutes maybe, 15,000 credits. That ain't bad. Okay, we got a lot of player bounties here, I guess from all the people complaining about, hey, where did I get the crime stats coming from? You got it because people were being bad. Oh, geez, and there's another one that's practically right next door. It's like somebody told me that, well, someone told them that there's someone flying around here to have a go at. Come on, guys, I'm in an Aurora. How dangerous can I be? Yeah, that was rhetorical. On the bright side, these guys will probably not have a whole lot in the way of cutlasses to fight. Maybe I better accelerate a bit just in case someone decides to start throwing missiles. This guy's a Mustang. He should not take all that much to kill, but, you know, a lot depends on how many of my shots are actually hitting him. Gimbals are not what you would call reacting very well. That's probably not a bad thing, though, because a lot of people hate the idea of gimbals doing their auto-aim thing. They should not be perfect. That's the upshot that they try to go to. They should not be perfect. That leaves a bit for, you know, flying skill. Now, granted, it's less flying skill than fixed weapons. But fixed weapons also have the advantage of, you know, usually being bigger guns. If I'm flying a ship with fixed weapons, they're a size larger than what I would be flying if they had gimbals. And of course, the other thing is I'm flying the ballistic repeater. Repeaters, they have that obscene rate of fire, but they don't have the same punch as, say, cannons. Oh, stop moving like that. I just want you to explode. Is that so wrong? Not much more. I really thought you were going to go with that pass. Okay, I will give him props for surviving this long, but enough is enough. In about a minute, I'm going to say, let's try out those missiles. That is that. Let's head back to Everest and we will pick up one more ship for today's festivities. I think this was a sufficient demonstration of the fact that the Aurora can be an effective fighter. At least against AI targets. I feel that's an important thing to distinguish. A player opponent tends to be a lot more dangerous because they're not flying pre-programmed routes, highly chaotic, better tactics, and a much greater willingness to use those missiles. In other words, take what I say with a grain of salt when it comes to player versus player combat. Against AI, and a great many of your missions that will give you money is AI. You can do pretty well for yourself in a starter ship. You don't need a super expensive light fighter. You don't need the super expensive heavy fighters. You can do reasonably well in just a starter Aurora. But you do need to practice. You don't get good at anything without practice. That's the reason why I'm not such a great PvPer, because, you know, I don't practice that. Now, somewhere over here, there's a... There we go. Oops, I'm also moving a little too quick right now.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Assigned landing bay, which I'm undoubtedly just zapped right past. There we are. So, you know, when you look at those Crime Stat 1 bounties and look at the payout and think, oh, this sucks. Don't think of them like that. Think of them as practice targets.
Attention. Please come to an immediate halt and hold for your vessel to be scanned.
As long as you promise to actually do the scan this time, you morons. Pity, I was hoping you'd ram into the superstructure. Ooh, maybe one did. Everything shook like somebody impacted. He's flying away from me, so maybe he did fly, breaking himself into pieces. I have no sympathy. They were giving me attitude problems. They forced me to pick up a different Aurora. I have no sympathy for them when they fly into the superstructure of the station and blow themselves up.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Engines are off.
In my mind,
Weapons system is off.
they deserve it. Take that. Now, you may have noticed that I've got this text about neutralizing a bounty still in my heads-up display in my helmet here. That would be called a visual bug. Have I mentioned that this is an alpha? I feel like I've mentioned this was an alpha once or twice. Stuff happens. You know, I'm really tempted to go to Port Olisar just to see what they're talking about, complaining about this crime stat in the chat. I would like to be able to get to a situation where it happened to me, so that I could check my journal and see whether or not there was actually anything there that's legitimate. Now, there's probably a way to clear out that neutralize the bounty thing. I just don't know it. Although, possibly if I remove my helmet. No, it's not removing the helmet. Put the helmet back on. Well, it's okay. Sooner or later the game will crash, or who knows. Alright, we've gone through a number of the more lesser used ships in my arsenal here. We've gone through the Aurora, we've gone through 325 Alpha, and we've done the Avenger Warlock. So let's see what life is like at the top of the food chain. Top of the food chain is light fighters, that is. It is generally accepted although it changes from patch to patch. But the Gladius is one of the top 2 light fighters in the game. And it usually spends its time at the top. Which occasionally drives me crazy because I personally prefer the Arrow. Eh, it happens. So we're going to run a bounty with the Gladius and see what it slices up, so to speak. Now the Gladius looks more like a fighter jet than the other ships I was flying. 325 looked like, well, luxury touring thing. Oregon, what do you figure? The Aurora was basically a flying box. And we have this. Decent weaponry, plenty of missiles. This guy is loaded for bear. Plus, I do love hitting the flight ready button on here, watching the fingers, turning everything on. And as I recall correctly, based on things I've been reading and seeing, when they redo the MFDs and heads-up displays, apparently Aegis is at the top of the list, and Gladius in specific. Something to think about, isn't it? Alright, I'm going to take a quick peek. Okay. I'm going to go to my weapons, make sure that they're on the same weapon groups. Well, they are, but not the way I would have expected. Why would they be listed as 0? Only 2 guns on here, which is a little surprising. Let me take a look at the weapon loadout stats. It's possible that I may have lost something. I'm missing nose weapons. Decisions. You know what? We'll fly without them. Let's use the handicap, shall we? And we will grab a CS4 again, because money. I may come to regret that choice. But I don't think so. If I could mop up the floor of the opposition in Aurora, then surely,
Launch complete.
with a Gladius, I should be more than good. Oh, thank God, for a minute there I thought someone hit me. Stupid cockpit bugs.
Complete. Landing gear retracted.
Now, I have no idea if these things are gimbaled or not, so we'll check that after I make the second jump.
Roger, travel. Initiate.
And let me swap this back to target status, just in case I need it there, which I'm pretty sure I will.
Roger, travel. Complete.
Okay, these are fixed weapons, so let's check one more thing before I run headlong into danger. And that is, how big are my guns? Yeah, you know, that didn't actually help. Go back to the Moby Glass, take a look at the vehicle manager. I just want to make sure that I'm not using size 1 guns. They are size 3 guns. So these guys will leave a mark. And the third gun, I have no idea where that one went. But that would also be a size 3, so that would be a fair amount of ammunition heading towards a target. But they are fixed, and back in the day, that would have been a no-go for me. But like I said earlier in the stream, fixed weapons aren't quite as horrible as they used to be to figure out where your target is, how to hit them. So we will give it a shot and see what happens. Hey, the worst that can happen is I get blown up. I haven't blown up yet, so I feel like I'm overdue. Now I'm going to decouple from here because that's a preference of mine in a light fighter, like Gladius or Nero. Weapons fire rate is horrible. So this is going to be a little challenging. But hey, why not? You don't get better at something unless you do something regularly, often, and occasionally challenging. Now that said, I would feel a lot better if I had gimbals on here, or if I had the third weapon on here. More the third weapon than anything else, honestly. This guy would probably be dust by now. It's like, is this guy completely out of control? It might be. Getting the hits I want on him. He's too erratic. Good thing I can say though is that the hits are doing something to him. Yeah, like that. Okay, we're gonna try to take out the small guys first. If I can take these guys out, then I can focus all my time and attention on the big guy. Okay, technically he'd be the big guy. I am not getting any hits on him. This may prove to be a little more tricky than expected. Oh, there we go, a couple hits. And since he's a tiny interceptor, basically an M50, I'm flying a size 3 guns. Now let's make this guy go away. And then I can focus on the Cutlass that's trying and failing to hit me. He went a lot faster. Alright, Cutlass Black. You know, I think he must have done something to fry his power supply or something. Oh, well, no, he's not. He's still shooting. Isn't it amazing how much easier it is to blow up something that's actually got size? And that was a nice success. Ladies and gentlemen, the stock Gladius. I'm pretty sure it's stock. It might be worse than stock. I can't remember if it comes with this third weapon and I took it off of something or what. And that was a suitably enjoyable victory. I am just a little shy of the 1 million mark, but that wasn't too bad, all things considered. Now, again, the criminal kind of missions pay better, but of course they have the risks of things like criminal status and the like, so it's all one. Do this or do that. And the ones that don't get prime stat, they don't tend to stay up all that much. Now, I know that a lot of people like Gladius, and it is one of the best light fighters out there, but I like my Arrow better just because, well, it looks cooler. But also, seriously, because it can do a significant amount of damage. Highly maneuverable, fast. You know, and it looks like a jet. I guess it comes down to that. It looks like it suits the role it's for. Alright, let's get the landing pad nailed down. Hopefully it'll be one that's actually reasonably
proceed
close,
to assigned
close to
landing
the opposite side of the station. It's the other side of the station. Well, not the opposite, but it's still annoying. Let's see if I can get there before they start spawning security ships. Oh, nuts, they're already there.
Attention. Please come to an immediate halt and hold for your vessel to be scanned.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go a little over here. And then halt. And then we'll see if we can get them to...
Comply or else.
Let's see if they'll hit the... Darn, I was really hoping I could lure them into hitting the station. Oh, one bite.
Okay, thanks. You're clear to proceed.
Darn, I was really hoping I could lure them into slamming into the landing pad or something. Ah well. Sometimes the plan does not go the way it's expected to.
Automated landing initiated. Landing gear deployed.
And that will do it for our little
Landing
tour
complete.
of light fighters today.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant
It is
stay.
the 3 o'clock hour Eastern here, which is the scheduled end of the stream. If you enjoyed watching today, I will be streaming again next week, Saturday, starting at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to, again, approximately 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. The following week, we'll be experiencing a bit of that Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. So that's on the list a couple weeks from now. I also do Wednesday streams Wednesday streams for Star Trek Online at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to approximately 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in seeing a Star Trek sort of thing, that'll be happening too. Outside of that, that'll do it for today's stream. I hope you enjoyed watching. This is Korath Landwalker, signing off.